right, Miles, thank you. One of your colleagues is in the studio. Well, maybe it was a former colleague, Caleb O. Brown. Good to have you back on the air.
Terry, it's a pleasure. And I was halfway to Bishop Lane. That's how
my God,
that's how long I've been away.
Yeah, you have been gone a long time. We've been here 3 years. That's Gus on your monitor right there. See that?
Hey, Gus.
Oh, you got to look at him on this camera right here.
Oh, hello, Gus.
There
I
you
used to
go.
work
Nice.
with Mr. Brown, yes, many, many times.
There you go.
It's good to have you back, buddy.
Hey, boys, I'll tell you this. Hurstbourne Country Club looks beautiful on TV on the Golf Channel right now. This ISCO Championship's underway. We got some guys churning out some pretty strong scores. Excuse me. Today's the first day of a 4-day tournament. The winner, who they're showing on TV right now, the winner from last year, William Mao, is 3 under after 15 holes. And he won the whole thing last year at 10 under. The leaders today are 7 under. So I'm thinking we're going to have a much stronger score this time than last year. That's all I can figure. There's Max Holm out there. Anyway, it's fun to see Hurstbourne on there. It's a fun, beautiful course. It's good to have Caleb O. Brown back in. He's no longer a broadcast newsman as he was so long ago. He's the CEO of the Bluegrass Institute. My, that's impressive.
Is it?
I saw that in your future. You know, when you were a news guy here, I thought this is future CEO material.
This is a man who belongs in public policy.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. All right, so we're going to get into a couple of topics.
Yeah.
The first of which is the housing crisis and what we're going to do about it here in Louisville. So what's the Bluegrass Institute's overview?
So Kentucky is, like a lot of states, suffering under excessively high housing costs for really no good reason. And this has been local governments over decades building up little rules in their zoning rules and their code that have made it much more expensive to build moderate homes.
I mean, they're putting up barriers to make it more difficult to build in general?
Regulatory barriers. That make it more expensive and more difficult to get homes.
I thought you were going to say something about NIMBY to that not in my backyard business.
Well, that may have something to do with it.
Well, because there was talk of this big development in St. Matthews, and they were talking about all these apartments going on an area where I know where that is. It's a busy street around there, so the busy street can typically handle traffic, but the neighbors said, no. They had signs everywhere. Get out of here.
So I used to live down on Highland Avenue
Yeah.
in the Highlands, and I recall seeing this the project on Lexington Road that they were many people in my neighborhood. No, we can't build that. Too big, too tall. And the big picture here is...
Are we talking about the one that just got approved,
Yes,
Grinstead
right.
Drive
Yes,
in Lexington Road?
Yes. That took a decade or more
Yeah.
to get that project approved. But what I'm talking about are the small rules that allow people to, for example, build a duplex on a lot, live in one, rent the other. Or
I've done that very thing.
Of
myself.
course, yeah. And when we think about people back in the day, a lot of people lived in did home sharing. That is to say, they lived in an apartment that was in somebody's home. Barney Fife is a prime example, living in...
Totally forgot about that, too.
He lived in Mrs. Mendelbright's house. That's a throwback for some people there.
Did she cook for him? No, he had a hot plate in his room.
Well, he wasn't supposed to have it.
And that was big trouble.
But the bottom line is that for the median home, in markets like Bowling Green or Lexington, the median home price is now at or above 5 times median household income.
Oh, my goodness.
Which, and that if you're doing the math, that means if you want to buy the average home in Lexington or Bowling Green, that means if you want to put 20% down, you need to have a year's salary in the bank as an average person. A lot of that price is just a lot of young people out of homeownership.
Price is a lot
entirely.
of people, period.
Yeah, and so what can we do to make that the process of creating new homes in Kentucky a lot easier and less expensive? And there are a number of things we can do, and I'm going to go do a shout out here.
Okay.
Susan Tyler Witten.
Never heard of her. No, we love her. She also used to work here. She's sadly married to one of my coworkers.
Yes, so
a certain Dwight Witten.
I think it just goes to show you that being funny can get you a lot of things in life.
Yin Yan there, she's a lot smarter than he is. And I tell him that to his face.
And so she's been a leader on this. Senator Robbie Mills has been a leader on this issue, and they care very deeply. And I talk to a lot of people who have grandkids who are just entering the job market, and Louisville, Lexington, Bowling Green, Northern Kentucky, the places where people really want to live, where a lot of opportunities are utterly priced out of homeownership. Louisville's actually better than Lexington and Bowling Green. But the point here is that we can dramatically increase the rate at which we're creating new homes for people. We don't have to impose any burdens on taxpayers. And we can reaffirm that when people own a piece of property, that without very good reason, the government can't tell them no when they want to do something with it. That is, develop it for some purpose. And so we've put out a menu of options for housing reform, all of which are reforms that have been done in other states. Permitting reform, just moving the permits along more swiftly, and giving property owners a lot more control over their own property for development in profitable ways.
Does it require the government to have more people to inspect the submissions for the permits?
No. In fact, one of the reforms that a lot of states have done is called the shot clock. And for certain kinds of permits, that would mean that either the government has about 30, 60, 14 days in order to approve your permit, or it's approved, or it's just deemed approved.
Pooty or get off the pot.
Yes. And or in some cases, third-party review for other kinds of permits basically means you can take your permit to make sure it complies with various codes to a licensed architect, to a licensed engineer, people who have expertise and understand the building code, and you pay them. They take a little bit of liability in case your building falls down, and they rubber stamp it, and you're good to go. And that gives developers, housing developers, a lot more certainty that projects are worth pursuing if they know that if they've got their ducks in a row, that they don't have to wait on a government official in order to get their projects underway. And that, I think, can really move the needle to make Kentucky a much more attractive place for young people to start families, to have jobs, and to save and invest.
No doubt. We do hear about, too, a lot of homes that have been abandoned, and there's challenges in people coming in and retrofitting those things with modern technology and so forth. And so that's been a challenge. The city, I think, seems to be working on that a little bit.
I think Mayor Greenberg has been a really big booster for a lot of housing reform. Louisville has an ADU law, accessory dwelling unit. They call them granny flats, mother-in-law suites.
Interesting.
It's always the older woman, the older matriarch who has to live in the small home.
My mother-in-law, I've invited her to come over. You want to come over and live with us? No. Not. Are you still there? No. She's very sweet to me.
So, but the idea is that, if you want to put a second unit on your lot and you're already tapped into sewer and electricity,
right,
that you should be able to do that. And I think that Louisville at least has tried to make that process a lot more straightforward for people. I would prefer to see ADUs legalized statewide, so anybody with a piece of property within a city limits can put those second units up, either for rentals or for them to live in while they rent out the main house. Any number of things that people can do to make their homes productive assets for themselves.
Pretty awesome. All right. Do people go to your website and read more about all this?
Well, we've got, we're working on a bunch of issues. Housing is one of our big ones. Certificate of need is another one that we'd like to see demolished entirely. And
we've had that discussion on this station before.
And we've seen a lot. We also want to see our regulatory code made dramatically more transparent so that businesses don't have to sit and wonder what their regulatory burden is or have to hire a very, very expensive lawyer in order to comply. BluegrassInstitute.org.
I knew you would give that.
Terry G. Miners.
Caleb O. Brown. Very nice. It's Terry A. But thanks. It was a good guess.
It was either that or L.
G for OG. That's why you put that in. And Caleb, it's good to have you back on the airwaves.
You too, Terry.
Very good. Caleb O. Brown, CEO of Bluegrass Institute. That's where you find him online, bluegrassinstitute.org.